I just want to break it down to just sort of the core thing because I saw it all, reading through it on your website, is biochar. Now, it's one of those things I can talk, and you might even think I know what it is for a little bit, but then I very limited. Let's just say that. So, can you just sort of walk us through that? I guess it would be your end product that you're going to end up with is the biochar. Do I have that right?
You do. Yeah, that's the main attraction in the whole thing. And I did not know anything about biochar until starting the process of networking with Tom and kind of working through the business model on this. And at first, I admit this is kind of a low tech. We're going to make charcoal. This is the startup idea. But as I learned more about it, it's a phenomenally powerful economic alternative to drawing down carbon out of the atmosphere. And essentially what it is it's very simple. It's been around for thousands of years. There's viewers might know down in the Amazon, thousands of years ago, these terra preta soils in the Amazon that were basically biochar was put into the soil, and the very productive, fertile soils in an otherwise kind of barren soil landscape in the Amazon. But what it is how you make it is you want to get a woody biomass is really the best source of it, and then you run it through a process called pyrolysis, and it's pretty low tech. It's basically high heat, lack of oxygen, and that lack of oxygen is what really limits the CO2 emissions. Rather than if you burn it in an open flame, just a fire, that all goes up as carbon dioxide. Essentially, all of that carbon in the biomass makes its way to the atmosphere, whether you burn it or whether a log on the ground just naturally decays. It all winds up back in the atmosphere. But the unique thing about biochar is if you run it through this pyrolysis process, essentially half of the carbon in that feedstock is converted into biochar. And what it is it's a very stable form of carbon that sequesters that carbon literally for millennia. So it's got that benefit of essentially half of the feedstock that would wind up back in the atmosphere through just natural breakdown, organic decay processes. That becomes essentially permanently sequestered for millennia as far as the fight against climate change is concerned. You lock up half of it, and then the great thing about it is you really get a double whammy with it, is that you can apply this to soils to increase carbon storage in the soil organic content. What biochar really does is it's a home for the microbiome. Is biochar by itself doesn't really do anything additionally for drawing down carbon into the soils. But when you do get it into the soils, it allows the fungi and the microbiome to thrive, which that's kind of the second big part of the story, is rather than directly sequestering just half of that carbon, you get this additional benefit of really increasing soil drawdown through plants and into roughly a third of the emissions that we put into the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution have come from agriculture. The other big culprit on the whole thing is fossil fuels also. But it's a very potent, mature technology that at low cost you can scale and sequester a lot of carbon fast, which is why we decided to home in on biochar as our main attraction.